Hello, this is Jack here, back again with more Buzzword. This time back on the academic stuff. This time it's the Invitational Series, Level B, which is the second. I guess I don't know what level B this is referring to. In Buzzword, they have levels from A to D for the academic stuff, and D is the hardest. It's the stuff that they'll use at the national tournament. C, I believe, is what they use at the sectional tournament. B and A are stuff that they use for. This is at the college level. Um, so B and A are stuff they use for less consequential tournaments, we'll say. And this they have labeled as level B, but I don't know if that's on the Buzzword scale or if it's on some other scale. Anyway, this is these are questions that they've already put out and have been played in the real world. These were put out in 2020, used in 2020. So I haven't heard these because I don't play Quiz Bowl in real life anymore. I just do Buzzword. So remember, with Buzzword, the questions are going to go from more obscure clues to more well-known clues, and the faster you buzz in and get it correct, the more points you'll get. So we got 48 questions in this one. So this should be like I played in college. And fair warning, I'm pretty rusty on my academic stuff. I'm at my peak, I think, when it comes to pop culture stuff. But academic, I'm real rusty. So let's see how it goes. Here we go.
This country's town of Zermatt first experienced a rush of tourists in the mid-19th century. Its town of St. Moritz has twice hosted the Winter Olympics and is in its easternmost canton.
St. Moritz is, they said canton, so it's Switzerland. I should have had it off of St. Moritz, because that's, you can actually use pop culture for that, since it's an Olympic town. But then they said cantons, and cantons are famously what the subdivisions, like U.S. states, cantons are to Switzerland.
Absorption, or dark, examples of these structures, such as the Horsehead, are common sites of star formation.
There's a Horsehead Nebula. Yeah. Sometimes you just hear a word and it's going to be, yeah, that's probably what it is. And that's what it is. I think at level B, there's not going to be too many tricksy ones here.
An author from this country fictionalized a 1950 arson in the novel The Temple of the Golden Pavilion, and died in a coup attempt in 1970.
So yeah, I think there was talking about Mishima, who led a nationalist a he led a nationalist uprising and took over a military post and ended up ritualistically committing suicide in the as it became obvious that the rest of the country wasn't going to rise up and support him. And I'm pretty sure that was Mishima. But anyway, either way, it's Japan.
This painting's creator wrote of being led astray reaching for title objects that were too big. The planet Venus may be depicted in the center left of this painting that shows the view from an asylum.
Okay. Yeah, when they mentioned Venus, I should have figured there was going to be something in the night sky. This is the Van Gogh painting of Starry Night, which he painted while he was in a asylum because he cut off his ear. Not a well man, Van Gogh.
One of these organizations made $8 billion a year from Rancho Buffalo. These groups include the Jalisco New Generation, La Familia, Los Zetas, and a group named for Sinaloa.
It's cartels. I knew it was cartels from the beginning. I couldn't find the word for it. As soon as they said the Spanish or the name of the first one, I was like, oh, or Sinaloa cartel. So I lost. I probably lost 2 points on there just because I didn't have the word didn't come up in my head.
Pencil and paper ready.
Oh no.
Matthias needs to know
No.
how many widgets he can make in 1 hour.
Okay, 1.
Given he creates a widget every 18 seconds.
Oh.
By either first finding the number of widgets per minute or the number of seconds in an hour,
18 seconds.
he calculates, for 10 points, what...
I think it's 200? Okay, yeah. Because there's 3,600 seconds in an hour, and 3,600 divided by 18 is 200. Oh, I didn't think there would be math. I wouldn't. 11 will probably be the highest I score on these computational math questions.
This poem, written to win a contest with Horace Smith, was based on a passage from Diodorus Siculus. It describes the frown and wrinkled lip on a shattered visage, which lies near...
Oh, they'll give me that one. How did I not? Oh, I put an X instead of a Z. They'll give me that one. They should give me that one. The Z and the X are right next to each other on the keyboard. unless Ozymandias is another poem. But yeah, a poem describing a shattered statue is almost always going to be Ozymandias. I'm trying to think if there's any other famous poems that describe a shattered statue. I don't think there are.
During this decade, Senator Estes Kefauver's committee investigated organized crime in the U.S., and the Interstate Highway Act was passed.
Interstate Highway was Eisenhower, so I think it was the 50s. Okay. Yeah, because the interstate program is named after Eisenhower because he signed the law that enforced it.
This was the first TV show to feature a character who jilted Ophelia Frump to marry a woman whom he addresses as Cara Mia.
I think they're I mean, like Cara Mia, it's always Gomez Adams. He is very he's a wife guy. When it comes down to it, he is a wife guy. And Frump is very much a name that would appear in the Addams Family lore. There will be some pop culture in these. They usually have in these tournaments, in the NEQT tournaments live, there'd be about 20 toss-ups, which is what Buzzword is emulating. There'd be about 20 toss-ups per round, and there'd usually be 1 pop culture. So I would imagine there will be 2 to 3 pop culture questions in this round.
The largest complete fossil of these organisms is a 7-foot wide shell from Stupendimus geographicus. Species of these animals in order Testudines include...
Are they just talking about turtles? It could be tortoises. I'm going to put turtles out there, and I feel like we'll be okay. I think tortoises may not be in Testudidae. But I don't know the genuses that well. I think tortoise would have just been a fancy answer that would have been unnecessary.
This present-day country is home to the largest portion of the Rub al-Khali. The
Rub al-Khali is in the middle of Saudi Arabia. I know that desert. So I think based on the difficulty of these questions so far, these are very much introductory college questions. Yeah, I mean, not much to say there. They said Rub al-Khali, and what country is it in?
In July 2020, this politician's campaign posted a Facebook ad that digitally altered his opponent to have a darker skin tone. Until February 2021, the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee was, for 10 points,
who
what
was?
man? Who defeated Jamie Harrison to keep his Senate seat from South Carolina.
It's Lindsey Graham. Yeah, I didn't. There's been so much stuff that's happened in politics. It's hard to lock down anything that happened in 2021. Which is when these questions came out. So that's a question that definitely gets harder, or the initial clue gets harder as time goes on. But yeah, I mean, South Carolina senator. You know, remember that it's Lindsey Graham.
Members of this political party included Postmasters General Timothy Pickering and Samuel Osgood. The Alien and Sedition.
I think these are just wigs. Okay, Federalist. That's fine. I shot my shot. I probably should have waited. I just felt like it would probably be given the tenor of the rest of the questions, it was probably going to be wigs, but I was wrong.
The fluid continuity equation states that density times area times this quantity is constant. This value rises in a fluid when pressure or potential energy drops by Bernoulli's principle.
Did they say pressure already? I think it's pressure. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I think they said pressure, and I just forgot. And in my head, I was thinking like, oh, like flow rate, but I didn't think like flow rate. I didn't have a term for flow rate in my head because it's just velocity.
This book discusses the production of gurry, nippers, and slobgolion from squeezing spermaceti. In this novel, Sadala prophesizes that a man can only be killed by hemp, a prophecy fulfilled when ropes drown Captain Ahab.
Okay. There's some wild stuff going on in that question, and then they said Captain Ahab. Yeah, because you forget, like, I think I tried reading Moby Dick when I was a kid, and it was a bad idea. It's kind of rough to get through, because a lot of it, if I remember right, is just kind of like a log of stuff at sea. So it's not like deep story wise. I do remember that Ishmael and Queequeg share a bed in the first chapter.
An 1859 victory for this country and Sardinia at Solferino inspired the founding of the Red Cross. This country's emperor was overthrown after his capture at the Battle of Sedan. For 10 points, what country fought Prussia in an 1870 war that resulted in Napoleon III's...
Okay, yeah. I thought it was Napoleon. I just didn't feel like... That one I didn't feel confident at guessing at, because, like, I don't know, I felt like it could have been any... all those European countries are so close together. It could have been any of them, really.
This composer quoted the drinking song Gaudeamus Igitur in a piece written for the University of Breslau. A set of 21 dances by this composer was largely arranged from Hungarian melodies.
Yeah, who wrote the Hungarian dances?
The last of the 3 Bs was, for 10 points, what German composer of the Academic Festival Overture?
Okay. I was very unconfident, very not confident about that. But yeah, Beethoven, Bach, and Brahms. Because it wasn't Beethoven or Bach. That's the kind of... That's how you know you're really rusty at this stuff, because you know right away it's the Hungarian dances, but you don't have who did the Hungarian dances at ready access.
This word means an area of math whose fundamental theorem is about prime factoring. This word also means a sequence with fixed...
Okay. I think that was an answer in another thing I did today. So sometimes you get overlap. And I think I spelled it that way. I spelled it this way in that other thing too.
A company in this former country produced the
Former
Trabant
country.
car. The SED Party's Erich Honecker led this
Oh,
country for
Honecker.
18 years,
It's
leaving
Hanukkah.
office shortly before this country's collapse in 1990.
Yugoslavia collapsed in 1990. Oh, East Germany did. No, Yugoslavia collapsed in 1994. And Hennecker, yeah. Yeah, I should have puzzled that one out.
This state is home to Dora Flood, whose brothel is near Lee Chong's grocery. In another novel, at a
State.
peach orchard in this state, a policeman murders the ex-preacher Jim Casey. Cannery Row is set.
So I guess those are all just about Cannery Row. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Cannery Row, but except that it takes place in California because it's Steinbeck.
This character is called the funny-looking kid with the big nose by Peppermint Patty. This character, who enjoys stealing a security blanket owned by Linus.
Yeah, Snoopy's always the one that steals the blanket. Yeah, I mean, Snoopy's always the one that steals the blanket. You knew right away that you were in Peanuts because they said Peppermint Patty. But the funny looking kid with the big nose, that's a good joke. That's a good joke.
This country's constitution specifies 5 branches of government, including examination and control, based on the 3 principles of the people. This is the most populous country that is not a member of the UN. Tsai Ing-wen leads, for 10 points,
Tsai
what
Ing-wen.
country governed from Taipei?
Oh. Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stuff about Taiwan that I didn't know. The three ideals thing reminds me of what they do in North Korea. I think that's the what's that called? It's like the Zhongqi ideal. No, that's what I just said was very Chinese, not Korean. Oh, I don't remember what the basis of North Korean philosophy is. Anyway, probably won't come up.
Germany used so-called electron alloys containing this metal in zeppelins and incendiary bombs. This metal element, which binds to ATP, is found at the center of a chlorophyll molecule.
Oh,
Epsom salts contain.
Magnesium is at the middle of chlorophyll. Yeah. Yeah, it's the big difference. So, like, magnesium is the equivalent of iron. So, magnesium is to plants as iron is to humans. Yes, it's our hemoglobin is roughly analogous to their chlorophyll.
In a film franchise partly titled for this number, it is revealed that Jason Voorhees did not drown.
I mean, they said Jason Voorhees. They said Jason Voorhees right away. I'll take a 19 off of that.
This company, which changed its name from Jellyvision in 2013.
Wow, back to back pop culture questions, and then you give me a wheelhouse one. Oh, I wonder if they're doing. They must have been going somewhere else with that 13 question. Because back to back pop culture things are real rare. But give me that Jackbox stuff. I'll eat it up. Eat it up.
In July 2020, the mayor of this country's capital was found dead of a likely suicide after a secretary accused him of sexual harassment. This country's messianic movement SCJ included Patient 31, who caused a coronavirus outbreak in Daegu. For 10 points, what country is led by Moon Jae?
Yeah, the current event questions, which are a common thing in these. A little rough when they're 2 years later.
A vessel with this name is captained by Ed Mercer on a sci-fi TV series. A bespectacled businessman with this first name is the namesake of a brand of popcorn. For 10 points, give this first name that...
Oh, Orville. Yeah, so they're talking about the Orville with Seth MacFarlane's show. Then Orville Redenbacher, and I imagine Wilbur Wright's brother was the giveaway. I would have to imagine.
This activist led a group of soldiers in the raid on Combahee Ferry in 1863 in South Carolina. In 2016, this woman was proposed as a replacement.
So it's gonna be Harriet Tubman. I was kind of. I was gonna try. I was entertaining a shot in the dark on that one and buzzing after this activist and saying Greta Thunberg, but that would have been way off.
Dividing one of these functions by another makes a rational function. The fundamental theorem of algebra says that non-constant examples of these functions have solutions in the complex numbers. For 10 points, name these functions that are called quadratic when their degree is 2.
I think it was polynomials the whole time. Polynomials. Yeah, it was polynomials the whole time. I just didn't have the courage to buzz in and guess it because I don't really remember math at all.
A lesser version of this practice, which can be done at any time, is known as Umrah. Participants in this event throw stones at 3 pillars representing the devil and make 7 circuits around the Kaaba.
Oh, it's the Hajj. I figured it was going to be one of the pillars of Islam. But initially I thought it was going to be praying, which I don't know what the name is. The daily prayers. I don't remember what the name for that is. No, it's interesting. So there must have been a requirement on the Hajj at some point, like you were supposed to do it in a certain time of your life.
This dictator ordered an invasion that overthrew King Zog and seized Albania. Haile Selassie was deposed when this man's military invaded Ethiopia.
Oh, it's
Black shirts helped this man take power in his 1922 March on Rome.
Why can't I remember
what fascist known as Il Duce led Italy into World War II?
I'm just blanking on him. I have Garibaldi stuck in my head, but it's not that. Oh, I'm just completely blanking. Yeah, Mussolini. That was just... I knew what it was on the Haile Selassie thing, because Italy invaded Ethiopia. But I just didn't have the name, and I should have. That's a fumble right there. That's a punt.
In this novel, the nickname Pollyanna Cowgirl is given to Betsy, a wholesome young woman from Kansas. Dr. Gordon prescribes electroshock therapy for this novel's protagonist, the suicidal Esther Greenwood.
Oh, who's Esther
Greenwood? For 10
Greenwood?
points, name this semi-autobiographical novel by Sylvia Plath.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long time trivia nugget of Sylvia Plath's only novel. God, I feel like I should have gotten that up. I should have known that up as Sylvia Greenwood.
In eukaryotes, this
Esther
structure
Greenwood
consists of 60S and 40S subunits. The nucleolus is the assembly site for these structures that receive transfer RNAs bearing amino acids.
I mean, it's got to be this, right? Yeah. The ribosomes are the part where the proteins are matched up and put together and made. So the division between, he said 60S and 40S, and I think that's probably the division between the ones which are stuck on the endoplasmic reticulum.
On this TV show, the message, "Save me, daughter," is sent to the woman who debunked the blue cancer panic. Lady True discovers the real identity of Cal Abar on this show. Jeremy Irons played the villain Adrian
Yeah, I did not watch the Who watches the Watchers? Not me. Yeah, I didn't watch a series, but so so Jeremy Irons, and he's really only been in one TV series in the past 2 or 3 years. Man, we're deep on the pop culture stuff. That's the fourth. There's been like, I'd say like 2.5 or 3.5.
This book's protagonist uses a two-edged sword to fight the monstrous Apollyon. The protagonist of this novel visits the Valley of Humiliation and Vanity Fair while traveling to the Celestial City.
That's where Vanity Fair comes from, I think. Yeah, Pilgrim's Progress. Whew. That wasn't a great buzz, but I actually feel pretty good about that one because I haven't had to think about the Pilgrim's Progress. I haven't thought about the Pilgrim's Progress in a long time. So that feels good to come back.
This composer depicted a duel between Olga's romantic rivals in his faithful operatic version of an Alexander Pushkin novel. Another of his operas is titled for the playing card on which Hermann loses. For 10 points, what Russian composed Eugene Onegin, The Queen of Spades, and Swan Lake?
Chai. Did I spell it right too? Hey, I spelled this right. Spelled Ozymandias wrong, but spelled Tchaikovsky right. Yeah, I thought it was Swan Lake the whole time. I was just being a coward because I have a hard time distinguishing any of the Russian composers.
Near the western entrance to this waterway is Desolation Island. Punta Arenas, which lies on this waterway, is the southernmost city with over 100,000 people. Tierra del Fuego is separated from mainland South America by, for 10 points.
Yeah, Strait of Magellan's one there, right? All right. Look at me, that one. I can't spell Magellan. Spell Tchaikovsky. Can't spell Magellan.
Favorable overlap between orbitals with S character forms the sigma type of these interactions, as in hydrogen. These interactions can be polar, as
I think this is just bonds. I think they're just talking about bonds. Yeah. Chemistry degree. Like, S orbitals, yeah, interaction, yeah, bonds. Early on, I was like, oh, we talk about some aromatic stuff, but that only happens when you get into the p orbitals.
In this city, Diaz Love and Summer Taylor were hit by a car in July 2020 while protesting on a blocked freeway. This city's police left its East Precinct, allowing protesters to occupy.
I think this is going to be Minneapolis. I think these are about the George Floyd stuff. Seattle. All right. Again, pop culture, or the current event stuff from 2 years ago is kind of a crapshoot if you happen to remember the events, but I felt like Minneapolis was a fine guess there, but Seattle was the correct answer.
In 1839, Queen Victoria received an open letter decrying the trade of this good. The Battle of Kowloon occurred during the first of two wars.
It's opium. Because there were China and the United Kingdom fought 2 wars based on opium because the UK was robbing China by getting all their people addicted to opium and then taking all the tea.
Pencil and paper ready.
Oh no.
A softball player needs to know how many feet she traveled around the bases. Given that she had 2 singles and 3 doubles, and the bases are 60 feet apart.
All right, 120.
Since she ran 1 base for each single,
it's 300. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine taking an L on that one. Oh no, I just doubled it. I should have tripled it, and then to get to 40. Anyway, I'm not worried about dropping those.
3 stanzas in this poem begin by noting the time on the village clock when the title man reaches such places as the bridge into Medford town. Lanterns in this poem
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. With a man's travel, and the time of day is very important, and then lanterns, obviously. Two if by land, one if by sea, or is it one if by land, two if by sea? Good thing I wasn't out there, because I would have messed it up.
This man met with the Ayyubid Sultan al-Khamil in an attempt to end the Sixth Crusade. While praying on Mount Laverna in 1224, this man began showing stigmata.
Oh.
In 1209, Pope Innocent III approved an order named for this patron saint of Italy. For 10 points, name this saint from Assisi.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I'm bad at religion in general. I didn't know Saint Francis of Assisi was the patron saint of Italy. But you say Assisi, and I can tell you Saint Francis.
These particles are produced in stimulated emission and spontaneous emission. The energy of these particles is equal to their frequency times Planck's constant. Gamma rays.
I think this is going to be photons. Yeah. It's the... Yeah, spontaneous and emission. Emissions are, like, always going to be photons. Or for the... Not always, but most of the time it's photons.
On a copy of this painting, its artist wrote, "Can only have been painted by a madman." Oh. This painting, whose vantage point is on Ekeberg Hill, shows a red and orange sky above a man on a bridge.
Okay. Yeah. Created by a madman. Of course it's going to be the Scream. Edvard Munch. Yeah. That was I've definitely heard that this could only have been created by a madman clue before.
In 1829, Charlotte Dupuy, a slave owned by this politician, unsuccessfully sued for her freedom. This man became Secretary of State through a so-called corrupt bargain in 1824. The American system was championed by, for 10 points, what longtime Whig congressman from Kentucky?
I think this is Clay? It was Clay. Yeah, corrupt bargain. Yeah, that's another thing I haven't had to access a lot. Or I haven't had to access in a long time is corrupt bargain, that period of time.
This boy goes to Minas Land to retrieve the spirit of his grandmother Georgina in a book that also depicts a space...
I think this is Charlie. Charlie goes to Minas Land. Yeah, Charlie Bucket. Yes, let's go. Roll doll. I mean, the this boy narrows it down a fair amount too. Because the phrasing of this boy is going to be a character in something. And then you just like, boys, and Minas Land is totally a thing Doll would do and did do.
This planet has weird terrain that is exactly opposite its Caloris basin. The Bepi-Colombo probe is en route to this planet, which was studied by the Messenger probe.
Oh, who went to Messenger?
88 days, this planet has the shortest orbit.
This is Mercury. Shortest orbit? Probably Mercury. It's Mercury. Spins real quick. And actually, despite being closer to the sun than Venus, I think Venus is actually hotter than it. All right, 557. We dropped like 5 or 6, I think. Got a real good buzz on Jackbox. Very good buzz on Jackbox that I feel great about. But that's it for the first week of these practice academic questions at level B. If you want to check this out and play for yourself, you can go to naqt.com/buzzword. Thanks for watching.